Hello everyone, I am Nanda the second. Today I'm here to talk about how did hnandi finally broke his third win curse. Hnandi got his first ever win in Greece back in season 9, and then he got a second win on his home Grand Prix in Hungaroring back in season 10, round number 2 of that season. And yeah, since then he has never been able to get the win. He got very close to in Gosno. There were also other races where he would have the chance, like Montevideo, and yeah, he just didn't manage to get it back. Even in season 12, he never won a race, which was incredible to think about. How did that happen? Because in season 12, I left the grid. Noms wasn't. He left the grid as well. The animator, Buddha wouldn't be present for most of the time. So hnandi should have a lot of opportunities to get this win. I think in Hyderabad he was very close there, but he lost it in the end, where him and Sobel couldn't organize themselves to beat Manny Frias in the end. And so, I think hnandi had a lot of chances, but just didn't manage to take them pretty well. And so, yeah, today looked to be his best ever chance. Matra could have been another one, but he had a really bad start on the track where that's not convenient at all. And I think that seems to be how hnandi loses most of the races. It's right at the start with big crashes and stuff. And yeah, but here you would have a chance because he was clearly the fastest driver on the grid on this track, and it would be by quite a lot. So he would be able to come back here, even if he would have a bad start. And yeah, here you can see how he already would be taking pole position with by being the only driver to make a sub 30 lap. So there he goes. Then he's just taking the lead, already starting on pole position, would be crucial for a race like this. Yeah, then you can see here Antti in second place, then Danny Mater in Corvid, then Sobel, Sexy Digger, Charge GT. I think Sergeant Sobel will be huge protagonist here in this race, and I guess that's it. That's the ones I can talk about. On this video I'm just going to focus mostly on hnandi, because I think there's nothing else more interesting to talk about than hnandi's come back on this race. And yeah, let's then go into the start of the race. You can see also it was very clear that the softs were much better than the hards and mediums on this track in specific for some reason, and so everyone, or almost everyone, would just take the softs. Only Kami, and some drivers who were more at the back would think about taking the hards, with GT also trusting the hards, interesting enough. But actually we do see some drivers here. We see Charge, Manny Frias and Promotion on the mediums, then Kami, Suicide, Jurist and Journey on the hard tires. Because some drivers probably didn't like how the old softs would drive here. And with the track with a lot of corners like this, it kind of makes sense to maybe for them to take the hards. But I would say the softs were superior here. I remember you could make an easy extra pit stop and easily come back against someone who was on the hard tires. So yeah, let's take here a look at the start, as hnandi would put himself on the sideline very quickly here to just defend that lead, and we would see here Corded and the animator going side by side, but hnandi would have a very crucial good start here, still in the lead of the race, which is something that he would really desperately need, and with better pace he would easily be able to come back. But things would prove to be much more complex than everyone would think, as light rain would get announced right on lap 1 when everyone is completely close to each other. So if you would make the bad decision here, you would lose a lot. So people, with being light rain, it was very clear that it could either stay or not. So we see a huge mix of strategies here. hnandi goes into the pits, but Antti stays out, Sobel stays out, a lot of drivers here staying out at the beginning, with all of the drivers starting at the front, like hnandi, Danny Mater and Corvid, going for the pits, going for the inters. As you can see, it would prove to be the wrong decision, So hnandi once again on a race where he would be the an easy win. Suddenly it was no longer an easy win here. He would have to come back now. He was so far behind. But hnandi thought about something else. Instead of pitting with the others for fresh new soft tires, he would actually decide to stay out. And as you can see here, hnandi just stays out. Other drivers would do the same thing. Razim Susid and UR2D would follow him. And yeah, because back in South Korea, which was the penultimate race of last season, of the previous season, the same thing happened. It starts on dry, then it comes back to light rain, then it comes back to dry, but then light rain appears again. So those who have pitted for inters before, then for dries, would massively screwed up. So here, hnandi have learned with that and just decided to stay out, while the others would still out, decided to pit already. Susid would stay out for one more lap, but then he would pit again. He would eventually pit and give up this. So yeah, hnandi was still persistent. As you can see here, he wasn't holding up that badly against Enigma here, was on the soft tires. So this will show a lot about hnandi's pace. So yeah, this will be a big thing in this race right here. So yeah, hnandi still have to just hold on to those inters as much as he could. But in the meantime, other drivers were already catching up here. Corvid was screwed up by this rain at the beginning, was already catching up to him. So one would really question if where the hnandi's decision was wrong or not. But hnandi was persistent. He was really persistent here. I guess he was thinking, if his race is already screwed up, then he might as well just do something different. And it would have proven to be the right thing to do, to just stay out on the inters, to have that patience. And as you can see right here, he would do rain that would finally come back. So, and hnandi would be promoted to P7 now, which would be a much better position because the drivers ahead of him would have to pit, so he would be much closer now. And yeah, you can see here, so with the massive mistake, I think this would certainly allow Antti to have a bigger gap, while we see here Kubo going for a very stupid decision, I must say, because his tires were old. There was no point in staying out, even if the rain would end very quickly. Kubo would still not benefit from that much from it, so I don't think it was worth the risk at all to stay out right now. So that will be another free position for hnandi here. So hnandi will find himself up into P5 because I think he passed Mani Freeze when she pitted. So yeah, now hnandi went from being down to P10, P11, P13 I think, to now be up into P5. So he got his work cut short basically, so he would now be behind Prometheus on superior tires, but hnandi still have the superior pace. That was how pace was determined on this race. So yeah, hnandi now would be behind the Swedish driver. Not much you can do apart from just staying behind him. Even when Prometheus would make a mistake, hnandi would just have to make his best to just stay behind right now, because he also had the older tires, so maybe he would not have exactly the pace superiority. Also Mani Freeze here right behind him. Mani Freeze not having a good race because she did not practice at all on the track where you would certainly need to practice. But yeah, hnandi pits for soft tires, Mani Freeze on the mediums. And there he goes, hnandi now on the softs, which were superior tires. Mani Freeze feeling more comfortable on the mediums, as he makes a few mistakes here. And actually see, I think, yeah, hnandi gets a little bit of oversteer when the rain ends, so he wouldn't expect to have that much grip out of nowhere. But yeah, here you can see him now up into P6, but will be up to P5 with Germany then pitting. And also he pitted one lap earlier than Prometheus, which I think was a good decision, because as you can see right here, he easily gets past him, so he got rid of Prometheus now. Now he could go after Charge GT and Sobol, who were in second and third place, and it was really amazing for him to be able to just get closer on them quite early in this race. So now I think I would say from this point Hnandi had things in control. He would get that confidence back, now do his best to catch up to everyone else. So everyone could be more than sure that he would be able to come back to the drivers ahead. And then the Remater and Corvid still on their recoveries. They would essentially be out of the fight for the first position, so not a good race for them at all. But yeah, focusing more on Hnandi, he would eventually catch up to Charge GT, who I think would put that much of a fight, because as you might know, Charge GT have the heart, so yeah, I think he just lets him pass, and that's it. So Hnandi would now be up to third place. Now his next target would be Sobol, who won a lot of time against Charge GT by just having the soft, so we would see how the hearts was just useless here. But Charge GT, who lost the slipstream to Sobol, would now have a second chance with Hnandi. So yeah, you can see right here, Charge GT just staying behind. There would be not much that they could do there. But I think Hnandi would use Charge GT to his advantage, because you would see how later on he's gonna be extending his stint. So let's jump a little bit. As Sobol pits, I think he's gonna pit here on lap 18. So he was simply doing stints of 9 laps, maybe. I'm not really sure. Yeah, now Sobol pits. Promotions would pit as well, and yes, Hnandi would just stay out. And as you can see here, I think I need to see exactly where Hnandi loses the time against Charge GT. I think he makes a mistake, maybe. Yeah, I'm looking at the minimap. You can see right here that's where they were. So I think Charge GT managed to get past Hnandi. Now Hnandi would try to use that to his advantage, to have someone who have hard tires who could last longer, to just stay out for a little bit longer. But it seems like he lost the slipstream there, so he goes into the pits eventually. Now Sobol will be passing him, and another driver, which wouldn't be convenient, and that would be Promotions. Actually, Promotions would not pass him, but he would be very close. But now Promotions would be right behind him, which wasn't ideal because Promotions pitted earlier, and that would essentially mean that he would pit earlier again. So if Promotions could stick with him, he would be getting undercut by the Swedish driver, and that wouldn't be great to just drag him along. So yeah. So Hnandi would just have to try and find a way of getting rid of Promotions, which wouldn't be exactly the hardest thing, unless the driver knows how to slipstream. And so yeah, that was the situation. Obviously Hnandi would be catching up to Sobol, because Sobol have older tires as well, but Hnandi was obviously faster. And the gap wasn't that big, so I'm pretty sure Hnandi was confident on what he was doing right now. Because as you can see, I think this is when Promotions loses the slipstream in a very weird way. Hnandi would finally be getting rid of the Swedish driver, and now he could focus on just catching up to his teammate, who could make things easier for him by just letting him pass, of course. Because I think Sobol and Hnandi have quite an amazing chemistry. Yeah, as you can see, Hnandi was really just getting closer and closer to Sobol right now, so you just have the best of pace, and that's what happens when you have the best pace, and no one can do nothing about it. Doesn't matter how far behind you are during the race, you can eventually come back. So Hnandi was using that to his advantage quite a lot. And now there he goes up into second place. You can see from the deltas how he takes second. And yeah, that was basically it. Now there was only Antti standing ahead. Antti, who pitted later than hnandi. But either way, you can see here hnandi now ahead of Solo. Looks like he got rid of him. Now Antti, who had better tires, was just ahead of him. With Chargity, I think, pitting again now for the hard tires. Chargity was investing a lot on the hard tires, I don't know why. But yeah, I guess Chargity was just confident on those tires more than the softs. And yeah, that was basically it. Now the only thing he had left was to basically catch back to Antti. But Antti had still some advantage on the tires, so yeah, I could see how Antti was using the fact that he had the advantage when it comes to that, but still hnandi was not doing a bad job of just keeping that gap. So yeah, then the rain would come in, so that would essentially mean that hnandi could not pit earlier than Antti, so yeah, they would have to pit at the same time. But now things would be really bad for Antti, because hnandi would have even bigger advantage now with the rain, because you know, usually when it's raining, the gap, the pace gap just becomes bigger. So yeah, that means that now hnandi would be catching Antti at a faster rate. And as you can see, that gap just continues to go down and down. As you can see here, hnandi just lapping the wrist here. Not that many drivers getting lapped here, which was incredible actually. But yeah, here you can see hnandi just getting much closer now to Antti. The way he was just gaining a lot of time on those corners. Antti already preparing to just slipstream him, it seems. But yeah, hnandi now, who was down to P10 at the beginning of the race, now up into second place and now catching up to the leader. And that will be now in a much amazing recovery right now that hnandi made, just being persistent on those inters to then benefit from it and just cut his job short basically. Now there he goes, hnandi just back on Antti here for the lead of the race, right behind him. And now he gets finally that slipstream, and now he can think about passing him, as the Antti will still just take the lead for a little bit, as Chargity is still in third, quite far behind. As now hnandi goes for the inside line, just trying to take the lead but just not able to do it, as Antti will still be able to just keep it. But now there he goes, hnandi goes for the inside line. This is where Antti finally gives the position, as he just breaks a little to make things safe, and now he could just stay behind. But he would really need to stay behind him, because if he loses that slipstream, that could change things a lot. But yeah, this was basically be it for now. Antti couldn't do much unless hnandi would make a mistake. This would be actually a bad time for hnandi to make a mistake. He would have to be as consistent as possible to just keep that lead, and then eventually later on get away from Antti. And if we could do that, the race would be basically his. There wouldn't be much that Antti could have done from there on. But yeah, as you can see right here, hnandi is still in the lead of the race. On lap 36, we were getting towards the end. As you can see right here, Antti just trying to take the inside line but couldn't do much. But I think at some point Antti will take the lead here. This is where you can see it's on the penultimate corner where hnandi makes a mistake on his side line, and that would allow Antti to take back the lead. So this was a good thing for Antti. Now he could be able to just keep him behind for a little bit longer, with the rain now ending, as hnandi makes a huge mistake which would just give Antti some breathing space and be able to delay things even further. So hnandi, even though he had much superior pace, he was still struggling very massively here. Although of course he had to come from a way back, but still now he was making things very complicated for himself. As we get the random person joining the lobby. I don't know why that person joined, but either way, both Anti and hnandi would pit, both for the hearts until the end, basically. Because yeah, the softs it would be still too long for the soft tires. But I wonder if the minions would have worked. Actually, but doesn't matter. They would both fit for the hearts. No one will go for something different. Anti, I think, have to do it because, could maybe take an advantage on hnandi at the end of the race if hnandi would be able to easily catch him. But if Anti could then stay behind hnandi on the soft tires, he would then have an advantage. But for hnandi, it also makes sense to pit for the hearts because it's the same thing as Anti. And he would eventually have the advantage, because always the advantage because he has superior pace. But yeah, now for Anti, the best he could do is to just delay things, because we all know that hnandi would get him back again. As you can see here, hnandi just getting closer and closer. It was just inevitable, like if hnandi makes a mistake, he would then eventually come back again, so not a huge deal. If what happened to hnandi happened to Anti, it would be impossible for him to come back. But not for hnandi. hnandi could still be back here, as you can see now, taking that slipstream back, which will be very crucial. Now there he goes. I think Anti makes a little mistake on the final corner, if I'm not wrong. Seems to have made a little touch. He doesn't even take the full space. He finishes a little bit on the inside, so there he goes. Now hnandi takes back that slipstream. And how he would try to take it back, that win, that leader. But now I think Anti will be more willing to battle, because it's the final stint and everyone else was just 5 seconds behind, 5-6 seconds, so they could battle as much as they wanted. So yeah, Anti would now have to defend for his life, because being ahead would be better than being behind, as you can see right here. But now I think would have a huge moment in the races. hnandi goes for the move, but he completely kills Anti there on the final corner, which was certainly protestable, more than protestable, and I'm pretty sure hnandi would be handed the penalty there. Have Anti made a protest. But he never did, but he was certainly pissed about that move, because this would actually be decisive later on, and you're going to be able to see why. But either way, Anti was now behind hnandi, but as you can see, hnandi will go into the pitch for the inters, but Anti will not. Anti will stay out. You can see here, Anti will stay out because that's the only thing he could do now. Doing something different than hnandi, because he already lost the slip time. If he would do the same thing, hnandi would still be ahead and would win easily the race. But now by doing something different, he could hope that the rain would end soon, and that's exactly the case. We can see here sunny weather getting announced, which would make the track dry faster. So this would give Anti a chance here, as hnandi would be passing him, and then he would have to make an extra pit stop right here. But as you can see, Anti goes into the pits. Now this could look very stupid, because hnandi would have to make an extra pit stop with 4 laps to go. So you could make the question whether if hnandi would be able to catch him back or not, because yeah, hnandi had superior pace on equal tires. So on the soft tires, with fresher soft tires, he would be much faster than Anti, and I think that this is what was Anti thinking, that hnandi would probably catch him back maybe on the just laps to go, or 1.5 lap to go. It would certainly be in the end, and I think Anti just didn't want to risk it. And I think this was what Anti was thinking, that they would probably have to battle for the win either way. So I think what Anti did was to pit for soft tires again, to not to be able to defend himself better. That was basically it. But I want to see here, because Anti was still leading the way, so hnandi would simply take that lead back on the next lap. So pitting on the next lap, I don't think would have been an option for Anti. Maybe, although I think hnandi would still have to drive a little bit on the tries But yeah, I guess Antti was thinking that pitching on the next lap wouldn't be an option because hnandi would still be in the lead and maybe out of the slipstream range. But here hnandi still takes that lead. But Antti will still be on that slipstream range, so he could still have a chance here. But now he would have other tires, so this was still a problem. He still had a disadvantage. But I think he thought this would be better than being caught up by hnandi on other hard tires. So this was it. This was basically now a 1v1 battle just to confirm that the battle would actually happen at the final, on the final few laps. As Antti now tries to take that lead back, and here he goes on his sideline. He managed to take it, but he goes into the grass, and hnandi would take it back with a switchback there. So there he goes, hnandi back into the lead of the race. But now Antti has to try again to take that lead, to give pressure to hnandi. To know, even though he's faster, that hnandi would still have to battle Antti, that things will not be over. As so you can see here, hnandi gets pushed on his sideline. Antti gets pushed on his sideline and hnandi gets the penalty. A really fair one, I would say, as Antti still defends very slow on the exit, but hnandi couldn't find a way past there. So Antti was still in the lead of the race. hnandi is trying his best now to get past the Finn, with just 2 laps to go. So it was a very tough job. It was nothing was secure here for anyone. So there he goes, hnandi just trying to get the win back. Once again, still in second place, he's trying his best. He has to be patient here, just to look for a little bit. But let's see now, hnandi maybe on the sideline. No, he can't do much. But now you can see hnandi now would go around the outside line. Would Antti give him the space, and now he actually pushes him off, but he gets the penalty. So hnandi would be able to get back the lead, just like how Antti got the lead against him before, with hnandi getting a penalty. So there he goes now with just half a lap to go. Who would be the one taking the win here? Would it be hnandi or would it be Antti? As they were just very close to each other. Now here, this would be a very crucial moment here. As Antti gets pushed, I think on the outside, on this screen, it looked like hnandi made a huge, bigger wave. So Antti, it was over for him basically, as hnandi, with just 1 corner to go, would easily take the win. Or would just take the checkered flag to take his 3rd ever win, as he would say sorry to Antti. So he knew he did something wrong there. So Antti would be very pissed about how this race went, and I think rightly so, I must say. And yeah, hnandi would take his win, but Antti did not protest, so hnandi was allowed to keep his win. So that was it. This was how hnandi finally broke his curse for the 3rd win. And now let's see how long will hnandi take to take his 4th win, as yeah, this would have been a crucial race for him to be able to have a chance to battle for the title, because yes, my Freeze would have a really bad race in P7, so that would be massive points that he would gain on her. As I think my Freeze would still be leading, and yeah, they would be both missing the next round in UR2D, and then both of them would have to come back on the others with just half a season to go. And yeah, this was it. This was a video about hnandi's 3rd win. I hope you guys like it, and see you next time.